You probably think if something is shaking inside your body, someone else should be able to see it. That's what most people believe. If you're trembling, if you're vibrating, there should be visible movement. There should be proof. You should be able to hold out your hand and watch it shake. You should be able to point to something. But what if there isn't? What if you feel something buzzing, humming, trembling deep inside your chest, your legs, your hands, and nobody can see a thing? You press your palm flat against your thigh. Nothing moves. You watch your fingers. They are still. But underneath, something is running. Something is vibrating like an engine left idling. And you don't have a word for it. You go to the doctor. They look at you. They run the tests. And they tell you, everything looks normal. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's stress. Maybe you need to sleep more. Maybe you need to exercise. Maybe you need to drink more water and worry less. And you nod. And you go home. And that night, lying in bed, the vibration starts again. And you stare at the ceiling. And you think, am I losing my mind? But what nobody tells you is that internal tremors, this invisible internal shaking, can be a direct symptom of Sjogren Syndrome and fibromyalgia. And thousands of people are suffering with it silently right now. For years. With no answers. If that's you, stay here. Because this changes everything. I'm going to walk you through, symptom by symptom, with real patient stories, real data, and the exact questions to ask your doctor before your next appointment. And if you want my symptom map that connects, type symptom map in the comments and I'll drop the link directly. Some of the damage happening right now, while these symptoms go uninvestigated, doesn't reverse. The window to act is earlier than most people realize. 2 diseases. 3 pattern. Let's go. You've tried to explain it. You've sat in a doctor's office and searched for the words. You've started sentences 3 different ways before landing on one that felt close enough. It feels like buzzing. Like something is vibrating inside me. Like my insides are shaking. But I'm not shaking on the outside. And you watch their face as you say it. You can see it. That look. The slight pause. The professional nod. The pen moving across the notepad. And then, let's check your anxiety levels. Have you been under a lot of stress lately? How's your sleep? And you leave with nothing. Again. No referral. No follow-up investigation. No one looking deeper. You go home and you Google it. You type the words into the search bar at 2 in the morning in the dark of your bedroom. Internal vibrations. Internal tremors. Why does my body vibrate from the inside? And you find forums. Pages and pages of people describing the exact same thing. The same words. Buzzing. Humming. Vibrating. Electrical. And for a moment you feel something you haven't felt in a long time. Relief. I'm not alone. I'm not imagining it. Other people feel this too. But then the question hits you again, harder than before. So what is this? And that's what we are going to answer today. Not with guesses. Not with maybe it's stress. With an actual explanation rooted in what research tells us about these 2 conditions. Here's what I need you to understand before we go any further. This sensation you're feeling, this internal buzzing, this trembling that nobody else can see, it isn't random. It isn't you being dramatic. It isn't stress manifesting in a weird way. It isn't your nervous system doing something everyone's nervous system does, and you're just paying too much attention to it. It may be connected directly to your nervous system malfunctioning. And when you understand that, everything shifts. Because this isn't a mystery. This is your body trying to communicate something that no standard test was designed to catch. And that distinction matters. Not caught by a test is not the same as not real. Let's go deeper. You're lying in bed. Everything is still. The room is quiet. You've taken your medication. You've done everything right. And then it starts. This low hum. This vibration. Like a phone on silent mode, but it's inside your body. Your legs. Your chest. Sometimes your whole torso. Sometimes your feet, your calves, your lower back, all at once. You look at your hands. They're not shaking. You pull back the sheet and look at your legs. Nothing. No visible tremor. No twitching. But you can feel it. Clearly. Undeniably. Like something running under your skin that doesn't belong there. You've been told it's probably your nervous system winding down after a long day. Maybe too much caffeine. Maybe muscle tension from sitting too long. Maybe the result of holding your body stiff with anxiety you didn't realize you had. But here's what that explanation misses. In Sjogren Syndrome, the immune system doesn't just attack moisture-producing glands. It can attack sensory nerves directly. Small fiber neuropathy, which is damage to the tiny nerve fibers that run just beneath the surface of your skin, can create exactly this sensation. A constant internal hum. A low-grade vibration that has no visible cause. Because the damage is happening at a level standard tests won't build to see. Standard nerve conduction studies test large fibers. Small fiber damage requires a skin punch biopsy to detect. Most people with Sjogren's have never had one. So you sit there at midnight, vibrating, with clean test results. And you start to wonder if you're losing your mind. You're not. Type buzzing in the comments if this is familiar. But it doesn't stop there. Because for some people, it isn't just a buzz. It's an electrical sensation. Like a current moving through your limbs. Your arms. Your spine. Sometimes it moves. It pulses in one direction. Down your leg, into your foot. Across your shoulder blade, into your arm. It comes in waves. It intensifies at certain times of day. It's there when you're resting and sometimes it wakes you from sleep. It comes out of nowhere and fades slowly and then returns. You've been told it's restless leg syndrome. Or poor circulation. Or anxiety presenting physically. Or tension in your spine. Or a pinched nerve that somehow isn't showing up on any scan. But in fibromyalgia, the central nervous system is in a state called central sensitization. Your brain has essentially turned the volume dial all the way up on pain and sensation signals. Normal signals, ones that should feel like nothing, background noise your brain would typically filter out, are being amplified. Into electrical buzzing. Into tremors. Into sensations that arrive with no trigger and leave no trace on any test result. And here's what makes it worse. There is no test for central sensitization. You can't see it on an MRI. You can't find it in blood work. You can't point to it on a scan and say there, right there, that's why I feel this. So every test comes back normal. And every doctor looks at you like you're exaggerating. And the electrical sensation keeps coming. Every morning. Every night. Every quiet moment where you almost forgot it was there and then it reminded you. You're not exaggerating. This is real. Type electric in the comments if this is something you felt. And this is where it gets scary. Because some people move past the buzzing. Past the electrical feeling. And into something that feels like actual internal shaking. Not a tremor you can see. An internal one. Like your organs are vibrating. Like something inside your chest or your abdomen is trembling without stopping. You press your hand to your stomach. Nothing. You ask someone to watch you. They see nothing. But you feel it constantly. Sometimes it's strong enough that you can't sleep. Sometimes it's strong enough that you feel it in your throat. You've been told it's your heart. You've had the ECG. The echocardiogram. The Holter monitor. Everything is fine, they say. Your heart is functioning normally. But here's what your doctors may not have considered. Sjogren syndrome can affect the autonomic nervous system, the system that controls your heartbeat, digestion, blood pressure, breathing rate, and temperature regulation. This system runs everything in your body that you don't consciously control. When this system is dysregulated, it doesn't just affect individual organs. It can create sensations of internal trembling, of vibration, of shaking that has no visible cause and no organ-level explanation. Because the malfunction is happening in the control system itself, not in the organ. And standard tests only check the organ, not the wiring, not the signaling, not the control system. The wiring is where Sjogren's hides. The wiring is where these symptoms live. Type shaking if this is what your body has been doing. Let me ask you something. Do you remember the first morning it happened? You woke up. And before you even opened your eyes, you could feel it. That internal trembling. Already there. Already running. Before you'd moved a muscle. Before coffee. Before the day had started. Before anxiety could even begin. And you thought, wait. This can't be anxiety. I wasn't even awake yet. I didn't have time to get anxious about anything. And you were right. Because in both fibromyalgia and Sjogren's, the nervous system doesn't reset during sleep the way it should in a healthy body. The pain signaling pathways stay activated through the night. The sensory processing stays elevated. The inflammatory signals that drive nervous system dysfunction don't take a break because you closed your eyes. So you wake up already in a state of nervous system overdrive. The tremors and the buzzing are already running. Before you've had a single thought. Before you've made a single movement. Doctors miss this because they ask, when does it happen? And you say, all the time. Even when I first wake up. Even before I get out of bed. And they hear, patient is hyper-aware of normal body sensations. Patient is overly focused on internal experience. But that's not what you're describing. You're describing a nervous system that never turns off. That doesn't rest. That doesn't reset. That runs a continuous low-grade alarm through the night and picks up exactly where it left off the moment you open your eyes. That's not anxiety. That's not hyper-awareness. That's pathology. And it deserves to be treated as such. Type morning in the comments if this is how your day starts. That's not the real problem, though. The real problem is what happens between the first symptom and the first real answer. For most people with Sjogren's and fibromyalgia, that gap is years. Sometimes 3 years. Sometimes 5. Sometimes more than a decade. Years of internal tremors being dismissed as panic attacks. Years of buzzing being called a stress response. Years of electrical sensations being written off as poor sleep or caffeine sensitivity or perimenopausal symptoms or deconditioning or anxiety that you apparently need to work on more. And during those years, something happens to you that nobody talks about. You stop trusting yourself. You go into appointments already apologizing. I know this sounds strange, but I'm probably overthinking it, but you probably hear this all the time, but you've learned to pre-dismiss yourself before anyone else can do it to you. Because it's easier than the look. Because it hurts less to shrink yourself down than to be told again that you're fine. Than to walk out of an office feeling worse than when you walked in. And this delay, this gap between first symptom and real diagnosis, has consequences that are not just emotional. Ignoring or mislabeling nervous system symptoms in Sjogren's and fibromyalgia doesn't make them easier to treat later. The longer these symptoms go unexplained, the more entrenched the central sensitization becomes. The harder it becomes to unwind. And the harder it becomes to separate what's happening in your body from what's happening in your head. Not because it's in your head. But because your head has been gaslit for so long that you can no longer tell the difference. You've been told you're anxious so many times that you've started to wonder if they're right. That is not your fault. That is a failure of the system. And it is not the same as being dramatic. And this is where it gets really dark. Because there comes a point, usually late at night, usually when the tremors are bad and the house is quiet and there's nothing to distract you, where a different kind of fear starts. Not just what is this? But what if this never stops? What if this is my life now? What if it gets worse? What if there's something wrong with my brain, something real, something progressive, something nobody has caught yet because they weren't looking? What if this is the beginning of something I can't come back from? And you don't tell anyone this fear. Because the people around you already think you're being dramatic about the physical symptoms. You've already tested their patience. You can't add the psychological ones too. So you carry this. Quietly. At 3 in the morning. With your body buzzing. And your mind racing. And the kind of loneliness that is almost impossible to explain to someone who has never felt it. The loneliness of being sick in a way no one can see. Of suffering in a language nobody around you speaks. In fibromyalgia, this fear response isn't separate from the physical experience. It's built into the same overactivated nervous system. Your brain's threat detection center, the amygdala, is primed. It has been sending and receiving alarm signals for so long that it responds to uncertainty, to ambiguity, to unanswered questions with the same intensity it would respond to an actual threat. So the fear feels enormous. It feels out of proportion. And that makes you more afraid. Because now you're afraid of being afraid. Understanding that doesn't immediately fix anything. But it changes what you're fighting. You're not fighting weakness. You're not fighting irrational anxiety. You're fighting a dysregulated nervous system that has been left without proper treatment for too long. And that is something medicine is starting to understand. You were never weak. You were never dramatic. You were never imagining it. Type fear if you've been carrying this alone. There's something else happening too. Something that sits underneath the tremors and the buzzing and the fear. A kind of grief. Because this isn't just about a symptom. This is about who you were before this started. The version of you who didn't have to plan around how your body might feel. The version of you who could fall asleep without lying there wondering if the vibrating would get worse tonight. The version of you who trusted their own body. That trust has been damaged. Not just by the illness, but by years of being told you were wrong about your own experience. And that kind of damage takes time to name. Most people with Sjogren's and fibromyalgia will tell you that the hardest part isn't the pain. It's the invalidation. It's the accumulation of appointments where you walked in with hope and walked out with nothing. It's the way that slowly, quietly, you started to wonder if everyone else was right. If you really were just someone who couldn't cope. Naming this matters. Not because it changes the symptoms, but because it changes the posture you bring into the next appointment. You are not someone who is bad at coping. You are someone who has been coping with something real, without the correct support, for far too long. So what do you actually do with this information? Because here's the reality. Knowing the name of something doesn't automatically get you believed. Naming the mechanism doesn't guarantee a doctor will listen. But it changes the conversation. And in a system that often responds more to clinical language than to personal experience, changing the language you use is not selling out. It's strategy. The next time you sit in that office, try this. I've been experiencing internal tremors, a sensation of internal shaking or vibrating with no visible movement. I'd like to explore whether this could be related to nervous system involvement, possibly small fiber neuropathy or autonomic dysfunction, in the context of autoimmune disease or central sensitization. Watch what happens to that conversation. Because you're no longer describing a vague weird feeling that the doctor has to interpret. You're using clinical language. You're naming mechanisms. You're asking specific questions that require specific answers. Other things you can ask. Can autoimmune disease like Sjogren's cause internal tremors through nervous system involvement? Could these sensations be connected to autonomic nervous system dysregulation? Has my small fiber nerve function been evaluated through a skin punch biopsy? Have we considered central sensitization as a driver of these symptoms? This doesn't feel psychological to me. Can we rule out nervous system involvement before we pursue that route? You have a right to ask these questions. Every single one of them. And if a doctor dismisses all of them without engaging seriously with any of them, that is information too. It tells you something about what this particular appointment can and cannot give you. And it means you keep looking. Look at the comments on videos like this one. Buzzing. Shaking. Vibrating. Electric. Hundreds of people. Sometimes thousands. From different countries. Different age groups. Different diagnoses and different roads that led them here. All describing an internal tremor that nobody else could see. All having been told it was anxiety. All having been sent home with nothing. All carrying it alone at 2 and 3 in the morning, typing their symptoms into a search bar, hoping someone somewhere had an answer. This community exists. The experience you've been having, the one you've been too scared to describe out loud because nobody believed you the last time, it has a name. It has a mechanism. It has an explanation that is rooted in real physiology and real neuroscience. And you are not the only one living inside it. You have never been the only one. Type buzzing, shaking, or vibrating in the comments right now. Not for the algorithm. Not to give this video more reach, though it will. For the next person who finds this at 2 in the morning. Who is lying there with their body humming and their mind in the worst possible place. Who needs to scroll down and see that comment. Who needs to know that someone else has felt exactly this. And survived it. And found words for it. And is still here. So let's bring this together. The vibrating that woke you up this morning. The buzzing that starts before you even get out of bed. The electrical sensations that move through your arms and legs and spine, and show up on no test. The internal shaking that has never once been visible to anyone watching you, but has been with you every single day. This isn't stress. This isn't anxiety. This isn't you being dramatic or sensitive or hypochondriac or unable to cope with normal life. This may be your nervous system, a nervous system that has been dysregulated by autoimmune activity, by chronic inflammation, by small fiber nerve damage, by autonomic dysfunction, or by central sensitization, trying to signal something that standard medicine has not yet been designed to catch. That changes how you see yourself. It changes the story you've been telling about who you are and what you can tolerate and how much of this is your fault. It changes how you talk to your doctor. It changes the questions you're willing to ask and the answers you're willing to accept. And it changes what you believe you deserve. You deserve a real answer. You have always deserved a real answer. I've put together something for you. It's called the Nervous System Symptom Map. It connects the symptoms most people with Sjogren's and fibromyalgia experience, the ones that seem completely unrelated on the surface, and shows you how they may all trace back to the same nervous system dysfunction. Internal tremors. Fatigue that doesn't respond to rest and doesn't improve no matter how much you sleep. Cognitive fog that makes you feel like you're thinking through mud. Sensory sensitivity to light, to sound, to temperature, to touch. Temperature dysregulation that leaves you freezing and burning in the same hour. Digestive symptoms that nobody has ever connected to your other diagnosis. It's all connected. And most people living with these conditions have never seen it laid out this clearly in one place. Type symptom map in the comments right now and I will make sure you get access to it. And before you go, there are neurological symptoms that most people with Sjogren's have been experiencing for years that have never been connected to their diagnosis. Symptoms that have been dismissed as separate problems. Symptoms that have been mislabeled as psychiatric. Symptoms that have simply been missed because no one was looking for the pattern. I'm going to walk through all of them in the next video, with the same level of detail we went into today. The ones your doctor may never have linked to your autoimmune condition. The ones that explain things you've been wondering about for a long time. Make sure you don't miss it. You weren't imagining this. You have never been imagining this. Your body has been trying to explain something to you, something real, something physical, something that has a name and a mechanism and an explanation, and the people and the systems around you didn't have the tools to hear it. That loneliness is real. The years you spent wondering if you were broken in some way that couldn't be fixed are real. The appointments that left you smaller than when you walked in are real. And it has been profoundly unfair. But you kept looking for answers. When every reasonable person might have given up, you kept pushing. You kept searching. You kept asking the question one more time. And you found your way here. That matters more than you know. You are not alone. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are not someone who cannot cope. You are someone whose nervous system has been fighting harder and longer than most people around you will ever understand or acknowledge. And you have kept going anyway. Keep going.